and transform contaminated water into drinking one. On the surface, it looks quite nice and serene, beautiful lake and all the scenery, but it is so only for people who don't understand that there is death all around. Techno Lake's cascade in Chelyabinsk region is a living victim of arms race. Here there was radioactive plutonium waste storage, but now we know that this water can be saved using nanotechnologies. Technology based on brand new nanotechnological principles has proved to work. The plant tested at almost secret mode on the 11th reservoir of Chelyabinsk region has already aroused quite an interest on the West. There are also a number of radiated lakes. There is no analogy to such a nanotechnology in the world. It's absolutely an original technology. During VIP guest's visit, the scientists didn't take the risk to run radioactive experiments and just presented the unique installation at idle mode. The installation that was tested at the 11th reservoir has purified the water there, but become radioactive itself. That is why the head of Russian nuclear industry and Duma speaker, Mr. Gryzlov, sees its analog instead. The scientists hope that this achievement will not get lost in bureaucratic lobbies. This installation allows to clean water from liquid radioactive waste, which contains 2,500 till 3,000 becquerels per radiation liter, to the non-interventional level, 1 becquerel per liter. Encouraged by such high-ranking support, the ingenious inventor from St. Petersburg takes promise for new breakthroughs, for example, cyclotron with nanonuclides for nuclear medicine. Nikita Anisimov, Anatoly Vaskin, Vladimir Tugushitelь, NTV channel, St. Petersburg. Nanomaterials allowed us to get structures that comply with output standard, which is 1 becquerel per liter. You can see the results which we have achieved. The technology does work and its perspective. It can solve the problem of water purification up to 5 million liters per year. What are your anticipations? To what extent the technology can be realized? It's clear with Techno Cascade. As far as I understand, you and Mr. Petrik have tested the same technology on waste produced by the State Institute of Chemical Industry. This means we can also purify the institute's residues as well, doesn't it? No problem, we can clean tritium, 100% yes. We have all the required certificates for this case, and you have seen them. What about problems of nuclear submarines waste? How can it be used? What's your opinion? For example, on the North and Far East there is a lot of waste of that kind, and I think this technology can be applied there. Here the most crucial ecological problem is to be solved. A year ago, during its congress, United Russia Party approved of the party's project called Pure Water. It's a universal project. I'd like to pay your attention to the fact that life expectancy of Russian citizens is around 60 years, and this figure means our place at the second half of the first 100 of the world countries. And so, we can't take as it is the fact that Russian people live such short lives. And one of the main reasons for that is consumption of bad quality water. There is a widespread saying that a man is what he eats, and here I'd like to argue against the phrase and say that a man is what he drinks, because human body cells contain 80% of water. It's the fact. And the system of housing maintenance and utilities, as well as the water treatment system existing in big cities and delivering drinking water to residents, they do not provide the required water quality. Half of the bottled water that our citizens buy from retail trading is falsified, And as an ex-Internal Affairs Minister, I can say it with all the responsibility for the words. I know the situation, and the second half, which is not falsified, it doesn't comply with the standards and laboratory analysis, and so they cannot be qualified as ideal drinking water. Besides, there is another great problem, which is liquid radioactive waste. It's obvious that all nuclear plants, with no exception, have their waste reservoirs, and today it's impossible to get electricity without water. So there is water waste, and water waste contains liquid radioactive fallouts. There are huge reservoirs for that. For example, Petrik Cascade with 100 million tons of radioactive water. And the existing technologies, and we are speaking about world technologies, they do not solve the problem. For the first time, we have got a tested idea of purification of liquid radioactive waste at industrial scale and at reasonable costs. I think that now, for the first time in history, we can see such an installation that allows to solve this very task. The residues that we are to purify are strontium-90, cobalt-60, cesium-137, European-152, 154 and 155. They are the radionuclides which are radioactive and which are contained in water. All this is really purified to the level of maximum allowable concentration according to our standards. There is a term, non-interventional level, which is the level of purification of water used as drinking one. This installation allows to clean water from liquid radioactive waste, which contains 2,500 till 3,000 becquerels per radiation liter, to the non-interventional level, 1 becquerel per liter. That's the result we are discussing today. We have budget financing for years 2008-2010. The figures have been approved within the federal budget framework, and there are sources necessary for the activities. The only thing to do is to transfer the sources into this very project, and then, as early as next year, we'll be able to purify water from liquid radioactive waste. The project can start from Leningrad region. At least we can start from Dnipro natural reservoir. Unfortunately, this reservoir is quite close to St. Petersburg itself, and I think that everybody is interested in purifying the reservoir, and now we have such a possibility. So here I have underlined the political side of the problem. As for filters, reactors, electrical processes, it's better to ask Mr. Petrik and Mr. Romanovsky, though I also know what and how is going on here. You do know. I'd like to say that nanotechnologies allow to do what is demanded at the required scale. As for the method, it's well-known electrochemical method, but here it's up to the totally different function, and only because of the fact that the electrodes are pressed from nanospinels. And only this makes it possible to achieve the results. For the caverns, we have built production giving out 85 kilos of nanometals per day. So we have elaborated all the necessary procedures to work at production scales. And to change filters, of course, using nanomaterials. Pay attention, we expect something unbelievable from nanotechnologies. And now we can check if our expectations are right or wrong. This material has been tested in the US. In a governmental US laboratory, it was compared with the best American sorbent jack, produced from coconut. For its absorbent capabilities, my material is 350 times more capable than all the other best materials ever produced in the world. And so I have built a plant with its today capacity of 300 tons, which will solve the problem of liquid radioactive waste not only in Russia but in other countries as well. So it's not just pure technology, but it has all the facilities for its overall implementation. Petersburg is a really important center. Let me remind you of the fact that you are now at a quite unique institute, where all the Soviet nuclear industry started from. The institute is 85 years old and nuclear industry is 62. From here, radioactive material started from, as well as Soviet school, which would later produce nuclear shield of the country. Here in St. Petersburg, we have a great number of nuclear productions. Here is fundamental science as well as the Radium Institute. Quite near there is nuclear station and all the Sosnovo Bor complex, which works for military programs as well as fundamental and practical projects. Just look, what great job we have done so far. First, there was just an experimental installation that worked with a few liter scale at laboratory, and this spring we, with Mr. Grislow, discussed real implementation of the project in existing radioactive waste reservoirs. That's why we signed a contract with the Radium Institute this summer and installed the plant on Techin Cascade in Chelyabinsk region and put it into real conditions.
Заключили этим летом контракт, в этом контракте Виктор Иванович вместе с Радиовым институтом смонтировали установку в реальных условиях на Техинском каскаде, здесь прям фотографии.
The results are so that now we can drink this water, accepting the background radiation from the lakes. During this summer, we mounted the installation on the cascade, and it worked out not liters, but more than 100 tons of water. This is quite industrial scale, and it proves the installation can work at industrial scales.
Что проделали за это лето? Смонтировали установку на Техинском каскаде. Она переработала уже не литры, а тысячи литров.
And this proves the fact that we should start it right now, from 2008. Now we can transfer the existing sources into the project, and in 2008 we'll be able to start.
Поэтому, собственно, дальше вопрос следующий. Технологию надо будет дорабатывать до промышленного уровня, это отдельная работа. А второе, даже...
So we have discussed it with Mr. Romanovsky, and I hope that Mr. Petrik will agree that we can not only start, but accomplish the activities in 2008. That means to solve the problem of the Chemical Institute, which is the sole place of St. Petersburg. There is 1,000 tons of liquid radioactive waste there. Such a plant will solve the problem in 3-4 months' time. And then we can speak about the fact that this installation is very mobile and there is no need for a fixed station. And it can be used for Chelyabinsk and Novosibirsk factories, which are really important. And here also comes the problem of nuclear submarines waste, so we speak about Northwest region.
Петский завод, это Новосибирский завод, где есть хвостохранилища, в которых, в общем, возникает проблема жидких дренажных отходов. Поэтому это тоже важная вещь, чистка. Ну и то, о чем Виктор Иванович говорил, надо будет внимательно посмотреть по переработке по подводным лодкам.
A few years ago, the Russian atom received a task to utilize atomic submarines waste.
Несколько лет назад взять на себя координацию программы по утилизации атомных подводных лодок.
We are already performing the program. At schools, at birthing centers, now people can drink real blue water. British scientists carried out research to find out the reasons of children's tiredness, and they found out that it has to do with bad quality of drinking water.
В таких масштабах эта задача за границей не решалась.
At such scales, this problem has never been solved, and in this sense, this technology is really unique.
Уникальные решения.